Hello and welcome to the Game Line, Wales Online's live rugby debate show. I'm delighted to be joined by Ben James, who is out in Cape Town for us. Finally got there, Ben. Just give us a bit of a feel for what the atmosphere is like out there at the moment. What's going on around the ground? What's the vibe?
I mean, it's funny you asked that question. Obviously, it's completely empty here in Cape Town Stadium here. But the PA announcer's giving it a very good go, announcing the Lions team as though there are 50,000 fans in here, First name sort of terms for the players, and he's giving it a lot of enthusiasm. But there's it's an empty stadium, as it has been for the whole tour, and it's an interesting dynamic. It's a very, very strange feeling being here on a Lions tour and not seeing a sea of red. It's something that you only sort of feel when you're out there. We've seen games before from TV, but being out here in Cape Town and seeing the support staff on the sidelines and the players on the pitch warming up right now, it's a very strange one, not seeing the sea of red sort of surrounding them.
Absolutely. And what's the general atmosphere like around Cape Town? I know obviously things are easing off in the UK in terms of COVID restrictions and in Wales as well. What's it like in Cape Town?
I mean, so the one's been around, we're sort of based down by the dock, which is lovely. You would never know that there's a Lions tour. Saw more Seals today than I saw Lions fans, which is never a good sign, I think, on a Lions tour. It's just impossible to tell sort of where we are, that there is a Lions tour, and I think that's just the general sort of feeling out in South Africa is being over here. You can't really tell that there's something going on, and that's simply because, as I said before, there's no red wall sort of taking over the country.
Absolutely. And I should say as well, guys, everybody watching, if you want to send your questions in, I'll put them to Ben in the next, what have we got, probably 15 minutes or so before I let Ben get back to his job just ahead of kickoff. But we will plough on, Ben, with a little bit of breaking news that's just come out in the last half hour. Josh Adams is out of the match tonight, so he can witness the birth of his first child on Zoom. So we wish Josh Adams and his partner all the best with that one. And Dan Biggar is also out with what is being described as a minor ankle sprain. Now the Lions have rejigged slightly, so Anthony Watson has moved to the wing for Adams, and Liam Williams comes in to start. Owen Farrell is in to start, which is a straight swap for Biggar. I want to pick up on that one first, Ben, because interestingly on Sky Sports' coverage, Ian McGeechan and Sam Warburton saying there's a bit of mind games going on here. Thinks that this was the plan all along to bring Farrell on. Warburton saying that if Owen Farrell did have an abdominal strain, then he wouldn't be fit to play, which is what of course was described to us earlier in the week with regards to Farrell. Do you think this is mind games from Gatland?
I mean, it's very hard to tell at this stage, but as someone sort of made the point out today, sort of just as we were having a coffee earlier today, there's so much uncertainty with this tournament, so much uncertainty as to what the next game is. I mean, Saturday's game, we've heard so many rumours, is it Lions v Stormers, Lions v Bulls, Box v Bulls? There's a lot of uncertainty. I think that'll be resolved. South Africa wanted to play the Lions again. They wanted this warm-up, and they're playing the test team effectively tonight. So if Warren Gatland had known that the Box were going to turn out with such a strong team, would he have named the team he named? Maybe not. So it's not out of the realms of possibility that the Warren Gatland that we know, had sort of followed him so closely in Welsh rugby for such a long time, would maybe pull a little fast one on South Africa, who, in fairness, have been pretty mischievous themselves this week, haven't they?
Absolutely. And with regards to Adams, obviously we know that Liam Williams is now coming in to start at fullback. Hasn't had a lot of game time on tour. He'll be relishing the opportunity to really stake a claim for a test spot.
No, he hasn't. But he's in a very good place, to be honest. With that, obviously, Stuart Hogg's missed the last two games as a fallout of what happened last week with players having to isolate. He's now linked up with the squad, and I believe he is somewhere out on the pitch doing warm-ups. He's not involved tonight. Obviously, after tonight, there's only one more game then against the Stormers. So if Liam puts in a good 80 minutes here, it's a lot of pressure on Stuart Hogg on Saturday to effectively overtake Liam Williams for that test spot.
Absolutely. And we've just had Razzie Erasmus on the TV as well, saying that the winner of this game today delivers a real body blow ahead of the test series. Do you buy into that, given that both sides are not far off, but for a few players, what the teams will be in 10 days' time?
Sorry, I missed the start of that question.
we seem to have lost your picture as well at the moment, Ben, but we can...
2 seconds, hopefully.
That's what we want.
That's the wonders of technology and the internet in South Africa. It takes about 20 seconds for a camera to turn around.
There you go. We'll take you live to Cape Town now. As I said, Ben, Razzie Erasmus was just on TV saying that the winner of this game delivers a real body blow to the other, given that the teams are so close to what we'd expect to be playing in 10 days' time. Do you buy into that?
I mean, yes, to an extent. At the end of the day, this is the first real test the Lions have faced on this tour, on the pitch. I'm sure Warren Gatland would tell you they faced plenty of challenges off the pitch, as we all know. But on the pitch, they've had an easy run out against Sigma Lions. Chelsea Sharks didn't put up too much of a fight in the 2 games. This is the first big test they've had on this tour, and we're going to learn a lot tonight about the Lions, about where they are. We'll learn a lot about where South Africa are. You've got to remember a lot of these players haven't played much to this level. They had a test against Georgia. The first weekend Lions were here, they had the second test cancelled because of COVID. If you think of the 600 odd days since they won the World Cup, that's 1 test match in that time. So there's a lot to prove for both teams tonight, and it'll be interesting to see how it sort of unfolds on the pitch.
Yeah, absolutely. Just move into the teams a little bit then. What do you want to see, and what do you think is going to happen in terms of the battle out wide tonight? Like we said, it's not far off what we think a test team might be. Sam Warburton saying that the 9, 10, 12, 13 combination tonight is what he thinks the Lions will hold on to in 10 days' time if it goes well. So what are you hoping to see from the Lions, and how do you expect that battle out wide to go?
I think it'll be a really good test in where the sort of the Lions' attacking pattern is. We saw first 3 games on this tour, obviously Japan, Sigma Lions, Chelsea Sharks the first time. The Lions were able to play a really expansive game. They were able to sort of play a 1-3-3-1 pod formation, pods of 3 playing off Dan Digger, Farrell, Finn Russell, whoever it was, hit the wide man, and they were able to sort of get that width off a forward pod and move it wide. Second time out against the Sharks, they weren't able to do that. The intercept try off Gareth Davis' pass came from not being able to reload. If you bring the physicality, it's a lot harder to play that system, and the Boks are going to bring that tonight. So it's going to be interesting to see if that Lions attacking blueprint can sort of cope with the pressure that we're going to see tonight. And in terms of the 9, 10, 12, 13 axis, I still believe Dan Digger's going to be the man, but it's a big night for Conor Murray. Since he was named tour captain, he hasn't really sort of stamped his mark on this tour. And the news, the other big breaking news today that came through, that Alun and Jones is coming back. At this stage, we don't know if Alun Wyn's going to sort of take over the captaincy again. But if you're Conor Murray, you're probably feeling like you've got a fair bit to prove tonight.
Unless, of course, we know the game is often won and lost up front. Let me just bring you on to that then. This is, as we've touched on, in many ways going to be the Lions' biggest challenge of the tour so far, but almost certainly, well, it will certainly be the most sort of confrontational challenge they've faced in the pack as well.
Oh, yeah, I mean, absolutely. You look through that South Africa A pack, and the letter A at the end of it does a lot of heavy lifting. This it's a testament, essentially, isn't it? And yeah, the forwards are going to have a tougher night than they've had previously on the tour. And for Warren Gatlin, that's ideal, isn't it? I don't think it's understandable why he didn't want to play them again on Saturday. We don't want to turn into a 5-test tour series, but tonight this will hopefully give Gatlin sort of what he wanted from these warm-up games. And what's going to be fascinating for me is seeing how the Lions get to grips with, albeit not a forward, Baf de Klerk. I think Maratoje and Baf de Klerk tonight could be a fascinating battle. Faf's got a knack of frustrating second rows. But earlier on in this tour, when Maratoje's played, he sort of swung scrum halves around like ragdolls off the back of the line. Now, if he does that to Baf de Klerk tonight, that could go a long way to the Lions kind of on top in this one.
Absolutely. I just want to come to a point that you've touched on, Ben, and that we've had a question on as well. Obviously, we now know that Alun Wyn-Jones is joining up with the Lions 18 days after dislocating his shoulder against Japan. Fairly remarkable story, really. Jamie Phillips asking what the reaction has been in South Africa to the news that Alun Wyn-Jones is rejoining the squad. I mean, it's an interesting one, isn't it? What do you think the hosts are going to make of this?
I think they'll have seen it coming. I think we knew that from sort of the way that Rassie Erasmus effectively broke the news. So yeah, I don't think they're going to lose sleep over it. I think they're going to break stride. I think this will be what they expected. I think at the end of the day, Gatlin mentioned it pretty much the week after the Japan game. There was a chance, and as soon as he did that, you felt that the odds were sort of stacked down in Jones's favour. Otherwise, he wouldn't have mentioned it. So I think South Africa had plenty of time to sort of deal with it. On a personal note, I was more worried that Alun Wyn was going to arrive in South Africa himself, given sort of the nightmare it has been getting out of South Africa. But thankfully, I've beaten him to the punch. So that's one minor victory.
Absolutely. All right, let's move on to tonight's game then before I let you go, Ben. What are we expecting from this one? I mean, the teams are very evenly matched on paper. Probably 2/3 full of test starters on both sides. Which way do we expect this one to swing?
I'd still put the Lions coming out on top. Possibly around a 10-point margin, maybe a little bit less. I just think they'll have a cohesion that they've built up over the last couple of weeks. Whereas, the South Africa A or the box, whatever you want to call them, the test team, they've come into this fairly cold, apart from that hit out against Georgia. The big thing they're going to have to overcome, as you mentioned before, is the pack. I haven't got the numbers out in front of me, as some quite massive hits go out in the South African warm-up, but I think the discrepancy in the weights between the two packs is something. It's not David versus Goliath, but the Lions are going to have to do some work tonight up front. But there's a reason they're Lions. That they'll surely be up to that task.
Absolutely. All right then, Ben. We'll let you get back to your seat and get yourself settled in, ready for kickoff. Thanks for joining us this evening. And thanks to you guys as well for sending your questions and comments on the video. We really appreciate that. Of course, the Lions against South Africa is about 15 minutes away from kickoff, the unofficial 4th test match, as it's being billed back here, certainly in the UK. You can follow all the action and get all the reaction after the match right here on Wales Online.